Oh my gosh. So after a long period of tracking for weeks, the studio is an absolute disaster. I mean, look at this place. My drum set's all the way over there. All these cables, just everything is just a wreck. Having a business and doing this is a big piece of it. So I'm gonna walk you guys around while I'm working. As far as these opening a studio videos go, some of them are more put together. This one's definitely a day in the life because frankly, a lot of times it's not as glamorous as it looks. And I have an absolute disaster to work on. Let's go. Holy cow. Man, I really need some new stands. Oh God! Oh, at least the one I dropped was built like a tank and it wasn't the RE88 ribbon. By the way, killer little known mic here, the RE38. I forgot how cool this thing was until I saw Colpix Vintage just redid one and sold it. Super cool if you can find these things. You can make it basically an RE20, but it's also just a super versatile little dynamic mic. Really cool. So if you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you know I like to have stuff set up and ready to go. So why am I tearing everything down? Inevitably as a studio, things are gonna change from session to session. So I've changed one thing here and one thing there over the course of around a month of sessions, and it's just become spaghetti down here. Different drum setups, different mic experiments, stuff like that. And that stuff's important too. I'm not trying to discount experimentation and all that stuff. It's really important because even the last one I had here where it was just having fun with mics and trying to get out of ruts that I've been in with another engineer who came, and we didn't really film anything while we did it. It was just a fun experience. And with having a functioning studio, I don't get to do that a whole lot. And that's something to think about if you're wanting to get into this as a career. You really have to protect that creative side of you that got you into it to start with. That side of you that wants to figure something out. Like you have to flex that muscle continuously or you're gonna lose it. Case in point, this mic right here. This is just an AT2020. Great records have been made on this thing. I mean, huge pop songs that are very, very famous were recorded with the 2020. So it's a good mic and it's $99. I mean, it's stupid for the value and the reach that this mic has, but I never used it. So I wanted to try something out. I did a mod. I went to micmod.com, got the mod for the AT2020. And it's still, even after the mod, was a mic I never really used. So we decided to try it on drum rooms, didn't really care for it, but we noticed there was just an insane clean low end in this thing. So we put it on kick out. Lo and behold, this was a really killer kick out sound. If you want to do the mod, you can. That's still under a $200 microphone. That's unbelievable on kick out. So I'll link a 2020 down below. I think opening a space or a business of any kind can be one of the most frightening things you could possibly do with your life, especially if you have a family that depends on you. Luckily, when I started this, my wife at this point was my fiance back then, and even then she believed in me. My whole family believed in me, which was really, really cool to have that support. But I get some of the comments that you guys put down, like, you have a family, how are you going to do this? What I will say with that is that it doesn't get easier with time at all. If anything, it gets way, way harder. But the reason that you work changes. At least it did for me. All right, let's change scenery here. Going for a walk. When I first started, I did just want to get good because I had these grand illusions of being like one of the top engineers in the industry, and that's never gonna happen for me. And I am absolutely fine with that. There's definitely importance to career aspirations and trying and doing your absolute best and treating your client as royalty, genuinely. Not to a patronizing level, but genuinely treating your customer the way you would wanna be treated in that same situation. Especially for what we do, working with creatives and high budgets, it's hard. And it can be pretty scary sometimes, especially for the client. And if you can get a repeat client, man, that says a lot about your character and your skill level, regardless of your impact on the industry as a whole, if that makes sense. I think if you want to be famous and you want to be a big-time music producer, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm more speaking to those individuals who hustle, work. And that's not your drive. That's not what gets you going. Can you still do something like this? Can you still own a small business? Can you still survive in like a dog-eat-dog industry? And I'm a big proponent of saying yes to that question, simply because I never really got into the whole I'm gonna be at the studio day and night working. I mean, would I have bigger clients and better creds if I had done that? Maybe. But would I be happier? Would I have a better quality of work to life balance? I don't know. You have to decide what matters to you. Is it the pursuit of money and fame, or is it doing genuinely what you love? And I'm not saying there's no money to be made here. I'm doing better than I ever have. The studio does very, very well for me in my area, and that's a big thing too. I don't really think I could do what I do if I were in Nashville or in LA. One, I don't think my style would suit those places, #dad life. But I also don't think my level of hustle and networking skills would suit those areas. That's totally fine. My geographic location is darn near perfect for me. And the other part of it that's perfect is the cost of living. And because of all that cost of living stuff you have to think about, money comes into play. If you want to be a business owner, if you want to actually have like a brick and mortar studio or work out of your house, it doesn't really matter. In the end, you have to protect that passion, that creativity, because big space, small space, eventually you're going to be the guy that's wrapping the cables and moving the drum set and dusting a whole space. Let that be a decision if you want a huge space or not, because dusting and cleaning this whole place, not a whole lot of fun, nothing to do with music, but comes along with the territory. You have to love what you're doing. And that'll show in multiple ways. It'll show through the work that you're doing. It'll show in the way that your clients react, how you work with them. It'll show in your upkeep of the general space. Granted, mine's messy right now, but we're working on it. Keeping fed that creative individual inside of you can be really, really difficult. And it can be a whole lot of different levels depending where you came from before you decided to move into a career like this, or as you're deciding to move into a career like this. Maybe you're an artist and songwriter like I was. I rarely do my own songs anymore, but I dabble with them on the outside. But it's not really the point to me if people see that, just the fact that there's an outlet for it and that I take time to flex those muscles a little bit. It helps me remember why I love doing this and where I came from before I got here. For example, I wrote a song a long time ago. I never did it because it's really, really hard to produce and record your own stuff. It's not fun for those of you who've ever tried to do it, and I imagine quite a lot of you do it a lot. Some of the people that I do consults with on my Patreon, which if you're interested in, by the way, link down below to the Patreon, but some of you do just that. You record and produce your own stuff, and you know above all else, it's really, really difficult. And for me, I don't have a whole lot of luck doing it, and I would rather learn from someone else. So what I do, I reached out to another producer. Hey, do you like this song? Do you want to help me with it? And it got me excited. Like, I'm excited to work on stuff that's mine. I'm approaching it from a completely different side, and it's getting me looking at like this whole process so differently, but it makes me so excited about the process of music creation. If anything, it's kind of a breath of fresh air to teach me how to interact better with those individuals that come in. And this is something that I used to do all the time. It's something that I still do, but it's good to check in with. And I'm glad I'm going down this road, regardless if it ever gets released or not, because it really shows me the stuff that I get excited about with owning a studio, with helping other people create their own music, with figuring out how to get into an artist's head and pull out what it is that they want from that project, because I'm now that artist. It's interesting to see those little inner monologue things come out in my own head. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Is this giving him too much? It's weird. And I've done this for over a decade. And I can see things that I'm doing that I kind of blow past or get annoyed if an artist would do that with me. I'm making assumptions that that person knows what they should be doing, and maybe they don't. In this situation, I know exactly what I should be doing, or I know exactly how I would want it done if I was working with myself. But all this to say, being able to switch seats and become a creative again is reinvigorating me from the career standpoint. And if you're someone who is looking to do this as a career, never lose that hunger. It's easy to do. It is a job, and it is something that will make you money. But you need to work really, really hard to love what you do. Maybe not initially. Maybe not in those first couple years, maybe not in the first 5 years, but at some point, you're gonna take this for granted. You're gonna start to overthink things and start to look at the bottom line a whole lot more. You're gonna start to worry about logistics and deliveries and timelines and just look at them for that. And it gets hard to stay attached to the creative love of what this whole thing is, and that it can look so different for every single project. So if that's you, if you're someone like me who's been in a studio for a long time and you're kind of run ragged a little bit, maybe reflect on what got you here in the first place. What do you love about the music industry that made you want to sit behind the desk? If you're somebody that wants to start a studio or start an internship or whatever that might be, latch onto, go write down right now, what is it that you love about this? Why do you want to sit behind a desk? Why do you want to push those faders? Why do you want to work with bands, songwriters, record labels? Write it down and remember it. Because at some point, maybe you won't forget it, but you won't consciously remember it. I'm just excited that I'm starting to. Anyway, guys, if you like this one, hit the like button, subscribe if you want more stuff like this. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy. Go make some music.